next, it's a heavyweight matchup between Fabricio Werdum and Alexander Volkov.
Hey guys, my name's Connor from UK Game Bureau and welcome to our EA Sports UFC 3 simulation and prediction of Fabricio Werdum versus Alexander Volkov. So this upcoming fight is happening on the UFC London card and it is the main event, which means it is 5 rounds. It features Fabricio Werdum, who I believe is the #1 contender right now, versus Alexander Volkov, who is an upcoming guy and has looked unstoppable recently. So first of all, we're going to have a look at Alexander Volkov. He's coming into this fight with 29 wins and 6 losses, which is very impressive at heavyweight division, especially since he's only 29 years old. A lot of the heavyweight guys, you see them, they're sort of mid-30s, some of them 40s like Werdum. They're a lot older guys, so someone with this much experience, obviously he's had 35 fights and he's only 29 years old. That's very, very good and something to definitely watch out for because he will not be going anywhere anytime soon. So he is currently entering this fight on a 5-fight win streak. 2 of those fights were outside of UFC, 3 of them inside the UFC. His first UFC win was a split decision against Timothy Johnson. Personally, I don't think it should have been split. It was quite a close fight, but he should have won the rounds. He then had a decision win over Roy Nelson. Unanimous decision victory, he just completely outpointed him on the feet. And then his last fight was a 5-round fight, well scheduled for 5-round fights, and he finished it in the 3rd round against Stefan Struve. He finished him by knockout. So what we know about Volkov is that he is definitely a stand-up fighter. I'm sure he's very good on the ground, but he likes to stand up and he likes to sort of point fight a bit, and then if he can hit you, he'll swarm you. He's a very good technical striker. And what we haven't mentioned yet is the size of this man. I believe he is 6 foot 7 inches tall, which is very, very tall. That's just over 2 meters for those of you who don't use feet and inches. And along with that, he has a huge reach. I believe he has a reach advantage of 81 inches or 206 centimeters. So his reach is actually longer than he is tall, which considering he's 6'7" is actually insane. And unlike Stefan Struve, who he's fought, he is very good at using this reach. When you watch him fight, he definitely fights behind that jab, which is not good for any person he's fighting because it's going to be very hard for him to get in under that reach. So now we spoke about Volkov, let's look at his opponent. Obviously, Fabricio Werdum really does not need any introduction. Former UFC heavyweight champion after he beat Cain Velasquez back in 2015. Obviously, he then lost it to Stipe Miocic, and he's had quite a decent form ever since. He's coming into this fight with 23 wins, 7 losses, and 1 draw. So, another interesting fact, Volkov, even though he's only 29 years old, has actually had more MMA fights than Fabricio Werdum. So, of his last fights, he won 2 of them. He lost against Overeem in a very, very close decision. Before that, he beat Travis Brown, and before that, he got knocked out by Stipe Miocic. Before that, he was on a huge win streak over names such as Cain Velasquez, Mark Hunt, Travis Brown, and Nogueira. Now, if you don't already know, Fabricio Werdum is arguably the greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner to ever compete in MMA. In my mind, it's between him, Jacare, and Damian Maia. Those 3 are clearly head and shoulders above the best. With Werdum, if you are on the ground with him, whether he's on top of you, whether he's on his back, you are in grave, grave danger and you need to stand up. You cannot risk being on the ground with him. Even fighters as good as Nogueira, who is a legitimate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, one of the best to ever do it, he has been submitted by Werdum. Werdum can tap out anyone. He was the first to ever beat and tap out Fedor Emelianenko. You cannot be on the ground with him for long at all, if at all. So that is definitely something you need to watch coming into this fight. Also, ever since he's been back in the UFC, which I believe was around 2012 he came back, his Muay Thai and his stand-up striking has improved leaps and bounds. Before that, he was very much one-dimensional. He needs to drag it to the ground and either try and take a decision, TKO you from the bottom, or obviously grab up a submission. But ever since he came back into the UFC, his Muay Thai, and especially his kicks have been looking great. He's also started fighting behind the jab. It's great to see that even though he's getting older in age, his game is actually improving. The most impressive example of this was when he fought Mark Hunt. He faked him for a takedown to get Mark Hunt to drop his hands, and then he threw up a jumping knee. And that knee dropped Mark Hunt, and then he managed to finish him by TKO in the 2nd round. So now we're going to look at how these 2 match up against each other specifically. On the feet, we are going to have to give Volkov an advantage here. He's the much longer guy, he's the more technical boxer. If it just stays on the feet, I believe he'll be able to either point fight his way to a victory, or if Werdum gets a bit sloppy, Volkov definitely does have the power to put him down. He's not known for his power, he is more known for obviously his point fighting and his technical boxing, but make no mistake, he's a 6'7" heavyweight, he can knock out Fabricio Werdum. When it comes to the grappling itself, so wrestling and being able to take the fight down to the ground, we're going to have to give the advantage to Werdum here. What we have noticed in Volkov's few UFC fights is that he gets taken down very, very easily. His wrestling is near non-existent. He can get taken down. For this fight, it's going to be about, can he keep it standing up? Because if he keeps it standing up, I think he'll be able to piece apart Werdum. But Werdum has a much better grappling game and he will be able to take him down. There's really not too much need to compare their submission skills. Obviously, Volkov is the striker. Fabricio Werdum, arguably the greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner to ever compete in MMA. Werdum has the advantage here. Volkov cannot let it get to the ground, whatever he does. He needs to do anything to make sure it does not hit the ground. A few X factors I would throw into this are that it is a 5-round fight. Fabricio Werdum has had a lot of 5-round fights. His most recent one was actually his last fight against Marcin Tybura, and he went the full 5. The last round he looked a little bit gassed, but he was still going at a relatively high output the whole time. I think his cardio will be fine. Volkov has been booked for 5 before, but he hasn't gone the full 5. So it's a question of, will he be able to get up to that level? Also on that note, Werdum has headlined multiple cards before, won world titles. The pressure of this will not get to him. For Volkov, this is his second time that he is headlining, so that's a good advantage for him. But he's never really been thrust into the limelight like he will be in this fight. No disrespect to Stefan Struve, but there's a big step up from fighting Struve as a main event to fighting Werdum in the main event. So when it comes down to prediction, I'm going to have to lean towards experience here. I'm going to have to pick Fabricio Werdum. Volkov does have a very, very good chance, and I can definitely see him picking apart Werdum if he manages to keep the takedowns away. And I can definitely see him knocking him out if Fabricio gets a bit careless. But it's 5 rounds, and Werdum has the cardio to go 5 rounds. I just can't see him not managing to get a single takedown. And if he manages to take anyone down, they're in big, big trouble. If he can submit Nogueira, if he can submit Cain Velasquez, if he can submit Fedor, I am 100% sure that he can submit Alexander Volkov. So my prediction is going to be a 3rd round submission for Fabricio Werdum. So on our EA Sports UFC 3 simulation of Fabricio Werdum versus Alexander Volkov, we had our winner of Alexander Volkov by knockout 15 seconds into the 3rd round.
And if you're planning on watching this fight, let us know in the comments below, either on YouTube, Facebook or Twitter, and let us know your prediction and we can see if anyone gets it right after the fight. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button below, and as always, to see more videos coming soon, please subscribe to the channel.